Hi everyone. How's your can going? Today we are going. I'm really excited to moderate this panel with one of the brightest minds of crypto. We have Jack from Routescan, Marc from Pyth, Itamar from Ready, who rebranded from Argent, and Clément from Li.FI. So and I'm Bora from Celestia, leading ecosystem side of things. So from Jack, do you want to start introducing about yourself and your project?
Yes, I am Jack. I'm head of growth at Routescan. We are the world's first unified multi-chain block explorer, and we currently index around 90, 100 chains between mainnet and testnet. And we support all EVM compatible chains, and we're hopefully also growing outside EVM, but that is on the roadmap, not yet.
GM Marc from the Pyth Data Association. Contribute to the Pyth network. So Pyth network is a blockchain oracle. We kind of call ourselves a universal price layer. The idea is, you know what an oracle does, but we focus way more on the data side of things rather than the infrastructure. So that means we have like 1,700 price feeds live. Actually, majority of these price feeds are stocks. And this oracle is permissionlessly available on 100, 110 chains, EVM, and beyond.
Hey everyone, my name is Clem. I work at Li.FI. I am the product lead there. Li.FI is essentially one API to connect your app to any token and offer that flow to your users. We aggregate tooling, bridges, DEXs, DEX aggregators, and we offer it all via one API. And we're about to launch Li.FI 2.0, which is going to be our very own intent solver system on top of the aggregation product we already have. That's currently what we think is the most comprehensive product if you're looking to support cross-chain interactions within your app, and there's more to come and a lot of stuff to talk about. Thank you for the invitation also.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Itamar, founder at Ready. Some of you might know us as Argent. We're a wallet very focused on account abstraction. We're the largest wallet on Starknet. And with the rebrand to Ready, what we announced really is a refocus on our original vision, which is much closer to a neobank on crypto rails. So at the time, the world wasn't ready, and that's why we picked that name. Now the world is ready, so we're really focusing on abstracting every single element of crypto, but bringing also TradeFi, so card, bank account, etc., in an app that will feel much more like Web 2 than Web 3.
Yeah, short introduction about myself. I'm Bora from Celestia, the modular blockchain where you can build anything, chains, apps with full stack control. Yeah, so we're about to go deep into one of the most important and misunderstood frontiers in crypto, which is abstraction. So let's dive into the concept into some parts. Like let's start with user experience, a design paradigm, and the future foundation. So yeah, let's start with the abstraction as a product layer. So of course we have to start with infrastructure, right? So the dream is users don't even know what chain they're on. So in your opinion, guys, if you guys have any opinions, feel free to jump on. Is chain abstraction something inevitable, or is it a UX trap? And also, like, what are your thoughts on what's the balance between transparency and utility? I want to ask Itamar first, and then if you guys have any thoughts, feel free to jump on.
Yeah. So I think the question should be: is chain abstraction inevitable for a very large number of users? I think for people in this room and the Web3 user base of today, you might not need to abstract. But if we want to get to anything larger, it's inevitable. So there's not a world where people will use a product because it's on a chain. The product will look exactly like they look today in the Web2 world or TradeFi. So the answer is yes, it's inevitable for a large category of users. Yeah.
I think it is inevitable, but yet a trap. So I think this is why when it comes to the question, I don't think these things should come in opposition. It is not inevitable or a UX trap. It is both inevitable and a UX trap, especially in this kind of transition phase during which companies have a hard time identifying their core target user groups, and they struggle to identify whether they should build products for degens who seek transparency over convenience. That's a pretty hard thing to define at the moment, and I'm happy to further discuss that as well.
I mean, I don't know when I watch Netflix if it runs on AWS or GCP. I don't know how Swift works. So if we really want to have like billion users on chain, I mean, 99% shouldn't know it's on chain. And I mean, fully agreed that problem is like it's a desirable goal, like improve the UX so that it feels like traditional website, etc. But there's so many pitfalls of centralization, single layer, etc. So we'll see people just taking shortcuts. So not very crypto ethos, but over time we're gonna, I think, like achieve something still decentralized, but usable at scale.
I think like, a couple of years ago, we were struggling and wondering how to solve interop. Then I talked with your colleague Marco a couple of weeks ago in Athens, and he told me like, I think at Li-Fi we solved interop. And yes, I do think that interop is solved in general, like not just by you guys, it would be like kind of, everyone solved interop in their own way. Because to the question like, can you interoperate between chains? You can. But still, like I was a heavy DeFi user in 2020 and 2021, and now I'm not that heavy user anymore, just because there's like a proliferation of apps that like have all kinds of different primitives, but also are copy paste, and there's a lot of confusion of proliferation of apps, and this just keeps like me wondering like, should I try to learn that new app or whatever? And so I found myself less and less using DeFi and more like doing like constructed operations. Like, I don't know, I need to lend or something. I need to do some kind of operation. So I go to on-chain to do that. But most of the times, and this is, I think, what will happen with most users in a few years, I'm like, I don't remember what I put my money. Like, of course, I know that I have like, 5K on a wallet, but what exactly do I have? Like, do I have it as USDC on base, or do I have it like, maybe I have it wrapped USDC or state or whatever kind of stuff on another chain? So that is kind of like the major pain point that right now I have. Like, I don't know where my coins are, and I don't know how easily it is to just pay for whatever it is. I can use Li-Fi to bridge everything, and I know that it will just work, but I would just like to simply use it and not just act before it,
But are we designing products for us, or are we designing products for the next billion users?
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. Like, the next billion users should not act on bridging. They should just have it. You know what I mean? Like, Li-Fi, for example, or other bridge platforms are the core backend for the chain abstraction, but I think we're missing like a final, connection layer or something that is really like, that it acts for you. You know what I mean?
So, please tell us if we derive too much from
I love
your
this.
plan.
Go on.
Maybe you're referring to like the account layer, and are you suggesting that there should be more innovation at the account level when it comes to maybe like resource locks and this sort of functionalities that can aggregate balances and then abstract away the even nature of the assets?
I think I'll jump on that, because we have
Yeah.
both the wallet and what we call the neobank, which it's like having a wallet and more of an app with end use case. And the way I would say is, we have interop, we need now to abstract the interop. On the wallet, you are deciding to bridge, you manage chains, you manage all that. On an app that is a closed, closed from...
You don't decide, you do.
It's self-custodial, it's all of that, but it's opinionated. You are not going across 1,000 apps We have made decision for you. We tell you, okay, here's a yield option. It might be on another chain, but everything will be orchestrated by the application.
Yes.
So that's something that's happening. That's something we're doing. But that's really about figuring out what's your end use case. And so no, I don't think that will happen in the generic wallet. I'm not sure there's a world where generic wallet has much more users than they have today. Generalistic wallet, I should say, where you can do anything. They're just signers. They hold key, they sign. This is not what will have 1 billion users. It will have to be much more opinionated app around certain use case, and they will use those solutions behind the scene that you won't see as a user.
Yeah, I think because there are like two types of wallets, let's say, that are kind of growing, and one is, of course, the self-custodial wallet that we all know, like on our Argent is right. Like,
ready.
Like Argent.
When
it was Argent, when it was Argent, I mean, like it was a wallet, like a self-custodial wallet, and that's it. Like I don't know, I use Zerion, I also use Rabi, and they'll all self-custodial let you like generic use all the apps, but there are also like embedded wallets for single app chains, and I'm wondering, it's just. I, as a user, and also like, looking from the outside of a lot of, because we index a lot of chains and we talk with the apps to enhance the performance and APIs for everyone. I'm wondering, like, if I use an app for Courtyard on Polygon, and then I use another embedded wallet on Fidget or whatever chain it is, and I use other wallets with actually different email addresses because I want privacy for that. Like, I'm wondering if we are like switching the interop for wallet interop. Like, you know what I mean? Like right now we have multiple chains and just one wallet. In the future, we will just like have multiple chains acting as a single one, but we'll have like 10,000 wallets.
Yeah, that's the future. If we don't do anything, that's, I feel, where we are heading, which is terrible from a fragment. Exactly what you were saying. Where is my money? And people say, yeah, it's logical to have the wallet within the app. But actually, no, you're not topping up a balance today on Netflix, on Amazon, on eBay, on whatever website in the world. It makes no sense. And your bank account now, it's split across 50 apps, and you don't want to top up money. And that's what a wallet is. So you have one bank account, but you might have a card that has some rights on your account that you put everywhere. So I think the model has to change. I know the likes of the embedded wallet are thinking about that. They will connect all the embedded wallet within one central place. The preview already allows you to enable, if you are the abstract wallet, you could say, I want to allow any other provider to also log in with the abstract wallet in the same identity. Yeah. So there is effort in that direction.
I also have seen like demos from Wonderland team about a new accounted wallet that it's going to use ERC 7786, I believe. So that's going, but yes, I think it's still an open question though.
Yeah, okay. Coming back to a little bit of more abstraction.
Question 2.
Yeah, question 2. So when do you guys think the abstraction breaks? Like, because we're seeing so many like L2s, L3s, and like maybe some chain agnostic tooling emerge, but also like, UX complexities, you see them, right? Then like, what are the common failure modes in abstracted systems, and how do you design, like maybe each of you can answer this, but how do you design against a fragmented rollback or like bridge failures or like hidden security assumptions? Do you guys have any experiences on that?
Use Li.Fi, I think. If you're afraid of fallbacks, if you're afraid of bridges not working, the best way you can edge against that is by using an aggregator like us, so that you always find a route to your destination chain or destination asset that will scan through all the available options, and you won't have to worry about it. That's for the fallback question.
From the Pyth perspective, so mostly like dev tooling, nothing consumer facing, where we see like bunch of benefits is more on the like more chain interrupt you'll get if you manage to abstract this away, whereby your application sits on chain A, let's say if mainnet, if you're able to actually trigger a bunch of price updates on a cheaper chain, like you'll pretty much solve and like reduce a bunch of like cost of running your app, etc. So I think whenever you have an OP, and it's sad that Benji is not here, like they've been doing crazy things about those chains, like being able to trigger an update on base, any kind of chain on top of base is actually able to read directly the base data. So you kind of have this one hotspot where everyone update prices, and you can, even if your app's on another chain, you can actually benefit from it.
So maybe unpopular opinion. I think the multi-rollup, multi-app chain future is there, and the market demands it. So that's undeniable, and we have to do. I mean, we saw Robinhood the announcement yesterday, many others. But I think we pushed back the usability roadmap by at least 5 years. There are plenty of technology today to scale. I mean, we are more focused on ZK and StarkNet. It's way past 1,000 TPS. There's enough TPS to serve every demand of every chain because the demand is very low. And so we've put all the engineering and brain power on scaling through AppChain while there is strictly no user demand for it. There is a company demand for it. And there are solutions, bridging, etc., but it makes every single piece of work 10x slower, 10x harder. Nothing is atomic. We'll lose composability. And amazing team, like working on Intent, etc. It's great, but if we were still on one chain, or if we had done ETH sharding, we would be years ahead right now. We would have ETH sharding, we would all use 1 or 2 charts, and we would have agreed. We wouldn't need yet all of them, and yeah, we would be in a very different place.
I think I agree with that, but then it's also a question of motives. Why is the reason we get to the point to follow the app chain thesis? Probably profitability is a big one. It's been a crazy incentives game for new protocols to raise VC funds and to then influx pour capital with a dedicated native token and their own incentives program to get builders to further fragment. I think it's a combination of many things, but generally speaking, maybe what we initially believed in with the ethos of decentralization also through rallying people behind shared standards, we're just so far away from that. And I think last year I tweeted ERCs are the new ICOs. It's a joke, but it's only half a joke because there is even the commercialization of what used to be standardization for developers pushed by private organizations and companies pushing their own agenda and their own ecosystem forward. So I agree with you. I think unfortunately, looking at like the current market directions, we're nowhere close to actually deliver a fully seamless chain abstracted experience, simply because it does not match with the goals of any organization. Even today, if you build a software business in Web 2, retention is key. You want your users to stay with you. Why would you optimize for allowing high velocity for your users to be able to quickly swap from one account to the other? It's kind of very antagonistic to what makes a business a business.
Yeah, for that we actually had like a really strong conversations over the past 12, 18 months because our value proposition against Etherscan is that we are unified, natively. So we were trying to push all chains to we also provide Explorer as a service like Etherscan does, but we also integrate them into ecosystem explorers. Okay, the first big ecosystem explorer that we launched was Snowtrace for Avalanche. All Avalanche L1s are unified at the ecosystem level. So if you go to snowtrace.io, you will see your account on all Avalanche L1s, your transaction, cross-transaction, transfers, DEX, whatever. And so we try to, for example, to replicate that with OP. Sad that Benji is not here. And I actually got 1 year to convince them about this because they were constantly telling me no one wants their branded block space to be visible by others. And everyone wants their block space to be theirs. For example, Base is Vemper attacking the block space from all the other OP stacks, for example. But then I don't know, just in the last 12 months, since OP changed their mission, it became clear that they're trying to segment their block space, saying that this is all OP block space, but then there's like different segments of specific, I don't know, this is base block space, but this is still part of all OP block space. And so it is still tough, because even though there is an ecosystem explorer and something like that, there is demand to just bring users to your chain and not like simply allow velocity, as you were saying. Like allowing velocity should be something that we should all aim for, because we're here to grow the pie, not to fight with each other. Because if we're fighting for with each other for like 4,000 users, then who's gonna get the 4,000 first? You know.
I think the mistake is to think it's one pie. It's a donut box, and they're not really connected into one pie. So everyone wants to grow their mini pie.
But in fact, the world is one, you know, and you know, there's you can argue about geography, demography, this difference between institutions, business, and people and individuals, but it's just a whole world. Like I can get that maybe ZK Sync is focusing on institutions, and OP is focusing more on companies, and I don't know, Avalanche is focusing more on gamings and whatever, but still. It's not a vertical. It's kind of horizontal, because you're like, yeah. I think more like that, because if you're thinking yourself as a vertical, you just want to grow your little garden. If you're thinking as a horizontal demographic, then it's you know that you want to spread. You want to grow the pie.
Yeah, maybe just a comment on that. Thinking about the block explorers. I feel that we might have shifted from a developer ecosystem strategy industry, where trust was inherited through developers and the developer communities, to now what seems to be more legacy trust being pushed by existing and established companies whose interests are vastly divergent from the ones of the early contributors of the crypto space. And I feel that here there might be some kind of a fragmentation, and we will probably see, and we're going through an adaptation phase to understand what are the business requirements, the business needs, and what can we anticipate these big players, trusted Web2 players, to do and to leverage Web3 within their stack, versus what is still there for this very niche, for these other donuts. Just to continue on your analogy. But I think with the moves of the Robinhoods and the likes, we're just bringing additional donuts to the box in my mind as well, because they will be universes of their own in a way.
Yeah. Actually, there were a lot of more fun discussions than I expected, but before we move on to the next topic, I just want to ask if there's any question from the audience about, we just discussed about a lot of topics, maybe not for now, so I'll move on to like the other part, which I just wanted to talk about abstraction as a design paradigm, and maybe talk a little bit about smart accounts. So, we have this ERC 4337 or like, EIP 7702, and like smart accounts like blur the line between wallets and dApps. So are we converging toward a new accounts primitive, and what are your opinions on how the infra should respond to this?
And from Pyth perspective or Oracle, like smart accounts, like most oracles like Chainlink, Redstone have been traditionally like push models, meaning they proactively do like put information on chain. Pyth, we kind of build it the other way, which means user or applications have to trigger price update. Till now, like most of the time, you can like have either like the protocol does the price update themselves, or you can actually already offload this transaction to the user by kind of bundling when you do a trade. I don't know, on Synthetics, when you click long or short, actually Synthetics UI is able to bundle like an Oracle price update before the fill of the trade. So it kind of, it's more expensive. 2 transactions that you can obfuscate to the user, but it's still double the cost. With smart account, like all the paymaster like sponsored transactions, I think is going to be one of the biggest enabler. for developers using like such type of like oracles or other service provider. And on the user side, I think we're going to enter. I've started using mass.money. I don't know if you know this. It's very much like an app where you have LWA, like spot trading, perp trading, and very much they just build a consumer-facing app. And every time they use a different application to like synthetics for perps, they use Denari for the tokenized thing. So, and all this, like transactions, like it doesn't feel like you're using protocols. You just click on a few buttons, it looks like your mobile, like bank app, and all of this via sponsored transaction makes you like make the chains completely invisible. And I think this will be the way forward, and you get the apps that will get their money elsewhere, finance, sponsor these transactions. So I think that's the biggest enabler we'll see.
What I can say, I mean, I think there are two worlds. Sorry.
Please, please.
There are the generic wallet and the opinionated apps. So we need to find. So first, I can tell you the perspective coming from. So on Starknet, we only have account abstraction. It's not some EIP to the point where if you look at Binance, OKX, Kraken, cold storage address, it's a ready account. That's the only thing that exists. And it's easy to do when you come years later and you can make those decisions learning from others. And it's an amazing world. You forget it. Every time I come back to EVM, I realize it, but it's like everything is a multi-call. Everything is one click. It's much safer. We never talk about the RC20 allowance and etc. It's gas sponsor, of course, much safer. Our users arrive. They have 2FA. If you have the seed phrase of a user, you are protected without any of the incompatibility issue, etc. It's much harder to do once you have the OA and you need to migrate. And the problem is if you don't go for that, and that's what we see happening now, is we'll end up with custodian. I mean, we can debate what embedded wallets are. If they stop paying the bill, the AWS bill, 90% of people will have lost all their funds. And that's what we saw when we started as Argent 7 years ago. We say if we don't do something, we'll end up with 5 big custodians holding everything, and that's what's happening. And some are doing fantastic work, some are using TE. I would trust them, but for many use cases. But the fact is that you trust a few big entities. And so I think it's not mandatory to have account abstraction, but if you want a different future, then with full custody, we need it. And I think on EVM 7702, 427 is already a great step for apps like Mass, where it's an opinionated environment. When it's too open, the problem is we still see a lot of incompatibility. Cross-chain interop is improving a lot, but still harder. But it's a pass in the right direction.
You wanted to?
Maybe just to your initial question about are we witnessing a new account primitive, I believe my take on this is that no, but that accounts are just leveraging the work of many teams that have pushed towards standardization and new functionalities, notably through 4337, 7702 and others, to make these, what one could call 101 user-friendly transaction flows available. And then I think while there is no new account primitive, there are now popular derivatives of the typical EOA model through MPCs and other types of models that now can deliver even superior UX. And this goes back to the question that you asked earlier about, I don't know if it was about the balance, but if those UX improvements are inevitable and at what cost. So it's the answer is in between, but I wouldn't say there is a new account primitive per se.
Yeah. I only have 5 more minutes, so I have the last question, but I just want to take a pause here and ask the audience if they have any questions. If not, I will go on with my last question, which is about intent. So do intent-based architectures rewire bridging, MEV protection, and UX? Or you guys think it's just overhyped? Because, yeah.
So I don't think the answer is binary. I don't think it's overhyped, but I also don't think that intent model can fit all use cases as of now. Notably due to the current limitations with, for instance, availability or liquidity sources for solvers. There is always a dependency on a solver having liquidity and having the route available for your particular order. In some cases, defaulting to canonical bridges for some transfers remains the safest route for moving funds around. So it's not all use cases fit one thing, but I think for a lot of use cases that we currently see, especially for cross-chain transfers with low-value transactions, intents are well suited for it because they do not require high transaction caps necessarily, and so they can work. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you also have teams like Relay and others that opt in for a fully custodial model for fronting the funds from an origin to a target chain, and that also can cover a lot of other use cases. So Intents is just one of the tools that can be used to offer a comprehensive offering for anyone interested in sending money with crypto. Yeah.
I think I mostly agree. I think so interestingly, the first time I heard the word intent was my co-founder Julian in 2019. Argent was using intent to talk to the wallet. I mean, at the end, it's a signature. The idea was, but the way he was framing it shouldn't be the user problem how to do something. Here's my intent. Send it to the wallet. So it was just user to wallet and go figure it out. And that was how you would do multi-calls, etc. And I think bringing that to the next step with swap through intent, cross-chain, etc. I think it's an interesting, abstraction, which is, that's my end goal. Go figure it out. Again, we find it easier in an opinionated environment. What we do is ready, because it really doesn't matter if the execution takes 10 seconds, 20 seconds. We can do the stuff like lock through credible commitment, where you pre-lock so things can go very fast. When you're very opinionated, I think we're exploring that now, how to use intent to achieve more complex tasks, basically. Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna wrap up soon, but before we end, because a while ago Jack mentioned, when you're watching Netflix, you don't really care about what AWS you use, right? So maybe if you guys can share an example of a killer UX or like a product moment that you thought that will make abstraction mainstream, or if you haven't found that product, maybe if there's any dream UX that you think about, it would be just like few, and then just like a few moments.
I'll share again, Mass. It's very nice app, mobile first, and this is also something we should push more towards too. Like, it's just us using computer, like our desktop. 80% of the world prefer using the phone. So, Mass.money, go check them out. They all live on Base, Arbitrum, Optimism in the background. They have some big announcements, I think, today. On new integration, they offer perps to you. Spot, you can buy Tesla, tokenized Tesla. You can directly lend your money if you're not buying or trading. Under the hood, they use Aave. So it's very well, again, opinionated product, but it would be something I'd be confident telling my father or my mother, download, try it.
And use referral code Marc01.
I wish.
Actually, my hot take that it's so hot that it's burning our business, what I say, it's that for me, the UX is when you don't need us. Because we are a developer-facing product. Like, a lot of people mistake the Block Explorer as a user-facing product. It is not. Like, if you need to use the Explorer, it means that it's not working well. Like, Etherscan has made a lot of popularity because each transaction take like 3 to 4 minutes. So you need to constantly check the transaction details to see if it's gone. Like, for example, on Avalanche, you don't need to check the transaction details. It's just 1 second. So the moment that you need to check the transaction, it's already happening. It's already happened, so you don't need to check it. And so, of course, we're evolving onto like more analyst focus because of charts and everything. But the less you use us and the less you use Block Explorers, the more the train abstraction is having success as a user-facing industry, let's say, not as a, of business, okay, yes, institutions, businesses, developers will need to use us, but not to, not the billion users.
I don't know if it's a hot take, but I'm just looking forward to the day that crypto is embedded in day-to-day interactions, and maybe also the day that it can go back to its original ethos of decentralization and transparency in traditional, also civil society interactions, one could say. So for me, like being able to vote and log my interactions on the blockchain and all these things is yet to be seen. So yeah, I don't have any reference for telling you that I'm blown away by a particular product just yet.
And I'll just try maybe with an example of an interaction we're building where every detail leverage different type of abstraction, where you will open your Ready app, you'll have a bank account. So we're in the fiat world. You deposit money, and now you have a fiat balance. The reality is that fiat balance is stablecoin. So we have already abstracted that. It's technically on-chain. The ledger is on-chain. It's fully non-custodial. You want to buy Bitcoin. I mentioned Bitcoin because it's a big initiative with Starknet. Now suddenly you hold Bitcoin. You can open a credit line. You don't want to spend your Bitcoin. You have a lot of Bitcoin, don't want to spend it. So in one click now you have a credit line of USDC. No ERC20 approved, no complex, one click in the app. And then now with a card, so here we have used Paymaster, you didn't need gas, we have used multi-call, you don't need to do complex interaction. Now you spend with your card, and even there it's a fully non-custodial card that will pull from your credit line, where down to the detail, the fact that we use session keys, but actually we need like an abstraction so that the processing of the transaction can be instant. The card processor can allow the transaction instantly. They don't need to wait for some on-chain transaction, because with like an abstraction, you can have the concept of credible commitment, like one balance SafeNet was about. And so in that entire chain, you use so many points of abstraction, where at the end, you have a bank account, you can spend money from a loan, all that on-chain and non-custodial.
Okay, well, that was a wrap. If you guys have any questions to these amazing panelists, please feel free to ask questions. We'll be around. Yeah, thank you for listening, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you.